right in the heart with a silver bullet.
Yeah. I think they plotting on me. Don't wipe their feet when they enter the L.A.R. I feel a cold stare. Think I ain't looking. Maybe cause I'm focused. No handout for the hopeless. Funny bullets, I caught them shots. Another piece of the puzzle connecting dots. You can find the truth of laughter and liquor. One more shot to an empty bottle. If she gon' walk in like a model for me, like I don't see her intentions all in my scope. At a time we were just friends with advice to land. Nothing special, I was dead broke, but we still got hope. Don't take my words, just pack and issue that raw dough. Just pack and issue that raw dough. Pack and issue that raw dough. To the people that listen to my people, they know that I do care. With their hands in the air, rocking side to side. Now my work, yeah, it's time to ride. Where my niggas at? My niggas ain't my niggas no more. Push me to the back, label to change up his swag. I do it for us, I'm pro-black. Don't rock it the sheet gate, wooden beats or all type of African shit. Just rock a table fade, swagger tailor-made, polo collars and fly kicks. Just polo collars and fly kicks. Exclusive shit, not get wig. Keep it coming, just don't stop. The revolution starts with shot. Bang.
I'm respectful to my people, and I want to represent my people. And I don't want to be a bad representative. I can't be blind, make the blind lead the blind. We all follow the shit.
Now my mama said, baby, act like you got sense. They act like I only act right for Lent. Been living in purgatory, brown nosing for heaven. Not sure if I'm getting in, cause I ain't paid a reverend. Who looking at me when I ain't looking, judging my character? I can't put down my guard on this planet, packing the camera. Ready for my close-up, the lens gets bigger. Won't play me on BET, cause I am not a nigga. My heart is like a powder keg, ready to explode. Smell like strange fruit, cause I'm America's cologne. It started with the hello, think you're a nice fellow. You're ballin' like Carmelo, we treat you like Othello. L.A.R. we the stars, turn a rapper to a prophet. Bulletproof 306, keep your hands in your pocket. Jordan rules for my life, you contain them, can't stop them. I'm niggas sky high, so the clouds can't drop them. My life is like a miracle, my words are just superior. I'm edible, I'm audible, I'm digital, I'm visual. Spit like Komodo, go like Bruce Lee. Roy beating the mean as bad as Mofo in the dojo. Life is so amazing and raps like Jesus. They said hip hop is dead, but today look like Easter.
Now I wake up in the morning, I'm black and handsome as ever. However, you see me a strange fruit, will it ever happen, not again. A crooked judge say homicide, he know it's self-defense. But since I'm black and since he white, he got no common sense. That's 1969, and he ain't Jesus Christ. He ain't coming back on Easter, he ain't got a second life. You know I'm right? Hold up, look. Now the sirens in my window here and pull it over. License and registration, gun ain't never in the holster. Plus, that man black too, he wanna act too. A nigga with an attitude and a badge too. A couple tattoos, hoping I act a fool so he can squeeze too. But it ain't nothing different, they the same thing. They pull him over, he gon' get the same thing. Maybe 2 up in his brain, 21 gun salute. Last words was I'm a cop, he last heard fuck you. And he ain't coming back, you know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, y'all say goodbye. Everybody cry, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone. And now she want welfare. Law said that they can't live there, so we ain't there. And life ain't fair, but the food free and the rent cheap. It's roaches where you sleep. He still came around and taught you baseball. Bought a Barbie doll, he raised all of y'all. And now the kids adults, they both up in the court. She want that child support, he on that child support. But he ain't never taught him baseball, and she ain't never bought him Barbie dolls. They both never there, no, never, not at all. Saying, well, pull your pants up, go while your ass out. They looking back saying, why, y'all ain't never in the house. You got it backwards, don't you? Cause we still preaching unity, and it's supposed to be family first in community. Got in church to $1 for your blessing. We made in God's image, thinking with Satan's mind. They got us crossed up, now Judas is Caesar. America bury me, but I ain't coming back for Easter. Yeah, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, y'all say goodbye. everybody cry. Second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye. Second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone.
My biggest concern, investments on AI to make machines smarter. There's no limit to the amount of money that's been pumped into it. The investment in HI to make humans smarter, human intelligence, that's just sad. It's sad that we're going to live in a world right around the corner where machines will be more articulate, analytical, critical thinking, banter ability, contextual, deep understanding, while we have resorted to short tweets, emojis, memes, and stickers to communicate.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Thanks for rocking with me. This is a live about, you know, the lack of investment in black boys to black men. And the reason this has to be talked about, I'm starting with this Will I Am clip because that's an American thing in a sense, but it's definitely a thing with us. And what I mean is other people attempt to invest in their intelligence. Us, not so much, right? People will push people along. Like now, when you go to schools, you hear teachers talking about, kids getting just pushed along and pushed along and pushed along. They don't know nothing, but they keep getting pushed along. And then you live in a society where you're seeing younger generations of people believe that they're smart, but they're not. And where this comes in with black boys is the lack of concern. Not even the lack of concern, the lack of care. To give young boys to young men any type of guidance and information that goes along with raising kids to being adults. So, and I'm going to talk about this from a few different aspects, but what's most important right now is let's just go with the financial part. You see a lot of black boys go without. And because we go without, we got to make do with little to nothing. And the issue isn't that, we got to play the cards that we're dealt. The issue is more times than not, you see people taking away from black boys and black young men and black men to give to somebody else. So it was there. The ability was there. The resources was there. The guidance was there. The investment was there. But what happened was the decision was made that, you know what, but this ain't for them. So, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get it to somebody we feel like, or we feel is going to do more with it than them. And the funny part about it is, all they do is create entitlements. Because now these other groups of people, part of their American indoctrination is that they're going to get their own stuff that's designated for them, and they're going to get black boy stuff. And if they can't get both, then it becomes a problem. Then it becomes the world, something is not right with the world. And this is where we're at. And when we're looking at society get dumber and dumber and dumber, you got to start asking the question. You took away from these boys to young men for so long, and then demonized these boys from young boys to young men, and you invested in these other people. And have you had a return on your investment? Absolutely not. Are those people still dumb? They absolutely are. Do they expect that you're supposed to do something else for them? They absolutely do. So now, for a person like me, you got to ask questions. And the question that needs to be asked is, did you do this on purpose and you already knew the outcome? Because when you purposely sabotage one person to prop up another person, you get, I guess the assumption was the people that you propped up were going to do better than they did. And then they don't. And then what happens? You walk away. You walk away. Because guess what? That was a long time ago when I did that. And all of those people that I did that to a long time ago, which a long time ago could be last week. Let me just be honest with you. People haven't kept up with the numbers of black boys to black men that they've sabotaged. From the school to, how can I say this, to the family, to the friends, to the legal system, excuse me, to, I can make a small example, like, because people don't use as much cash anymore. Um, there was a time where it was difficult for a person like me to walk in a gas station when I was a young man. And the reason why, because if I gave them cash, I couldn't guarantee I was going to get my cash back. And what I mean is, I give you a 20, you give me change for a 10. You see what I'm saying? And and then you get that's not what I gave you. Yes, it is. I'll call the police. You get that, and it's like, oh, here, this is what this is. You stole from me on purpose, and you want to hide behind the line. No problem. It's that type of stuff. I remember being younger and having teachers actually, not grade my grade at work and not put it in. It's just stupid, but stuff like that happens. But that affects your GPA, which affects your, your college admissions, so on, so on, et cetera, et cetera. You fast forward to people that actuaries. Your car insurance is higher, your health insurance is higher. You get what I'm saying? The probability for something to happen in a negative way, you have a negative experience, is higher. And people are cool with that because they're all on board that as long as it's happening to me, it's not happening to them. So, and I said this a long time ago, people think about slavery and Jim Crow and they think how great America is afterwards or whatever. But they forget that slavery and Jim Crow made white people dumber and weaker. And all the people who participate in racism, it makes them dumber and weaker. Because if everybody was so far ahead, the country wouldn't be so far in debt. The citizens wouldn't be so far in debt. They wouldn't be so concerned about the future of the country. So this lack of investment, this purposeful lack of investment, created a situation where the country is part of the situation where the country is collapsing, and the only people that you're going to blame is black men. Interesting, ain't it? Everybody else, because they're not accustomed to taking accountability, it's got to be our fault. And it's like, yeah, and that's why you shouldn't have been at the helm in the first place, because you don't even acknowledge when you F something up. But I'm gonna move to the next part. Catch y'all. Check out the next clip.
He came in here without that jacket on. Yeah, he did. Obviously.
That baby just had a pimp on.
That's all he got on.
Yeah, don't do that. Somebody call police.
Bitch, fuck you talking about?
What the hell?
How old is it, man?
So you saw the clip. We're gonna start from here. This is where it all begins at the early ages of not investing in these kids. But shout out to the people in that Walmart. You know, the older people, the parents, the lady that worked at the Walmart, who ironically, if I'm not mistaken, got fired for putting some clothes on this little boy. So this is where we got to start. See, I'll get to the trash mama in a second. But the lack of investment starts at an early age in the sense of this boy don't know no better. The way his mama treats him, he thinks she loves him because that's his mama. She's around. She's gonna do some loving things and she's gonna do some evil things. But he's gonna assume that's normal. Which as he grows, he's gonna find out it ain't normal and it ain't right. But in the meantime, in between time, before he finds that out, he's gonna defend his mother because he loves his mother. And as like society step you because we like to say we don't stick together as a black community. What I'm not what cracked me up about this story because they had an update. The babies with a relative, and somebody's gonna ask the question, why not with the father? And this, this here we go again. Here we go again because there've been so many bad mothers who've gotten their kids taken away. But the problem becomes what? In when these kids go into the system, the majority of them go to somebody that basically the mother who put them in that situation approves of, not the father. Now, some people might look at the kid and say, I don't even know if the kid's daddy is black. It's a whole nother story. So it could be a whole nother issue with, hey, they might not accept them or they don't want them and blah, blah, blah. Or he can be black and it's just like she don't, she wants to be in control. I'm gonna get into that later on though. So now we have that issue, right? And with that issue, we have another problem. Going back to the woman that got fired. You mean to tell me that doing the right thing for a young black boy will get you in a position to lose your job? And guess what? And it's gonna get the mother in a position that people feel sorry for. Very, very interesting, not surprising because it's normal. So these are the people who have custody, right? And there are far more people like this than we want to admit. But by the way she's acting just with her child, let's just say she was receiving child support. Would she invest in that young boy? No. Would she make him a priority and his needs and wants a priority? No. And I know some of y'all, well, people make mistakes, people go through things, people, they evolve and they grow. How long you think it's going to take for her to evolve and grow? Because with people like that, the reality is they evolve and grow very slowly. And by the time that they're evolved, they're kids and adults. Then it's like, oh, I should have did this. I should have did that. I could have did this. I could have did that. And it's like, whatever. So in the beginning, this is where the investment starts. And I'm going young to older in a sense. You're going to see like I'm trying, not chronological, but I'm going to show situation with this starts with a baby. Then the next thing I'm going to get into, it's going to be school age. And the next thing I get into, gonna be young men / young men. And the next thing I get to, it's gonna be, when you're grown and you're looking at the problem. So what's heartbreaking about this situation is like, this girl just wants to twerk as if that's something reasonable. Like there was a time where the people would actually beat the brakes off of that girl for what she's doing with her child. They would have beat the brakes off of her. But now, you know, we want to rally around people like this, and the issue becomes what? It wouldn't let me tell you something. If that mother was doing that with a little girl, women would have more outrage. And a woman who got fired for helping a little boy probably wouldn't have been fired. That's just sad to say, but that's just the reality of it. Because when you put it in this context, black boys being treated like that is normal. And I can say that because I remember when I got into it with my son's mother when he was younger in a similar situation. It's cold outside. She got him with a diaper on and a t-shirt and playing stupid. And a lot of y'all don't want to hear that. A lot of y'all, when in those bad temperatures, a lot of y'all do that with y'all kids and y'all play dumb. I don't understand. You got clothes on, your kid don't have clothes on. You got shoes on, your kid don't have shoes on. You get what I'm saying? You fed yourself, the kids haven't eaten. And you get these kids accustomed to this, and then you just hug them. And there are a lot of mothers who love bomb their children while they're screwing their children over, and they confuse the heck out of them. But I'm gonna just say this is where the lack of investment started. And here's the other thing: those people are an extension of the community. This is how the community winds up not helping after a while, because ultimately the resolution of this is to get the kid back with the mother at some point until it just goes bad, and then it's too late. But we're gonna move to the next one, and tell me what y'all think about this next clip. Well, I'm gonna talk about it. So catch this one.
Okay, let's talk about it real quick. Let's make it make sense. For the past few years, the only pandemic we have been speaking of is COVID. But there is another pandemic plaguing America, and that is the educational system. Education in itself is a pandemic, and it is literally killing students' futures. We have got to get back to times where kids failed if they did not do the work. We have got to get back to the time where parents were held accountable for assuring that their kids attended school. We have got to get back to the times where we give accountability and consequences for behavior. Pretty soon, we are going to see a decline of education in the workplace, which in turn will affect our economy. These kids will not be able to hold a job because they know nothing about showing up on time. These kids will not be able to hold a job because they know nothing about meeting deadlines. These kids will not be able to hold a job because they believe in getting something for nothing. And jobs do not stroke you a check simply for showing up. I know it seems like I keep beating a dead horse in my videos, but accountability and consequences made me the responsible adult I am today. And a lot of the lessons I learned was in the classroom. Make it make sense.
Now you're about to see what I'm talking about. If I'm not mistaken, she's a teacher. You see the handle for her Instagram, right? Um, this is where we have an issue because this is where the investment goes. And partially, this is, I would say, women and feminism's issue problem now, because part of this is if women rule the world, it'll be different. And the schools participated in a lot of, let's just say, misandrous behavior, or the schools interfered in the parenting of children, and the input of fathers. Schools were heavy into that. So, because for y'all who don't know, because some people act like they don't know, So let's just say the 80s, the schools got involved and were like, you could have corporal punishment in schools, which means like the teachers were allowed to whip you. Okay. 80s to the 90s, really, because it stopped in the 90s. I'm gonna say that it stopped in the 90s. Um, but but that transition from the 80s and 90s, what happened was schools were trying to be kids' quote unquote friends, and if the kids got disciplined, some schools would get involved and wind up getting kids taken out of homes to the point where kids actually believe like, hey, I'll call the police, I'll tell my school, and the response was with a lot of parents like, go ahead, tell them. Where you think you're gonna live after that? Like, you think they finna take you to like the best hotel and you gonna have the best life there, or they're gonna throw you into foster care if they can. So go for it. Like, if you think you're gonna get away with being a bad child and they gonna have your back, you'll find out the same people that tried to tell you that they can help you gonna leave you hanging. So that was part of the issue. Now you bring the family court in all the games that let's just say baby mamas played and the women that were in schools, because schools are predominantly female, like grown women. They're the teachers and all that other stuff. So a woman, a mother will call another woman who may be a mother and look, I'm not comfortable with his daddy doing this and his daddy. Please don't let him in the building. Please don't let him have any involvement in the school or get involved in that way. And dad come to try to get this kid no because blah blah blah. She put you ain't on the list now. This the mama said you as the father can't see the child, and the school is like we agree. So you had women who were raised knowing these hustles, right? They were raised into these hustles. And then they became mothers and did the same thing. The system slowly started changing a little bit, but it was still, you could still do the same thing because it was, even if certain schools changed their policies and rules where you couldn't do certain things outright, women just used to talk to other women at the school and they'll figure out a way around and make it very bureaucratic that a father gonna have a hard time. So where I'm going with this is when I said earlier about the mother's lack of investment, right? So now you got mothers in schools predominantly supposed to be investing in these kids' future. And you know who's having a quote unquote, we like to say, people like to blame black boys for everything. We can't read, we don't do math. And 9 times out of 10, the kids you're talking about were raised with a single mother and were raised in a school full of women. So at some point, people have to ask the question: is this on purpose? Because if you go back to the old thing where schools used to they had a higher rate of putting black boys in special education, detention, suspensions. You know what I'm saying? This, oh, that 10-year-old look like a grown man. Our boys are the ones that's getting arrested at 8, 9, 10 years old because the school's trying to prove a point. You get what I'm saying? Our kids are the kids who have those issues. And then now what you're seeing is, I would say, the war within feminism, with female teachers having to realize, if they may be new and they don't realize it, but older ones realize we empowered these mothers, and now basically they want us teachers to raise their kids. They want daddy to give them money for the kid. They want the school to raise the kid. And now it's a problem. And now the kids are getting dumber because guess what? They were at school to get raised and not at school to get educated. So now what? Well, how can you invest in them? And the interesting thing about why I say they don't invest in black boys in particular, to black men, young men, because truth be told, from what I've seen, now the girls have the worst behavior because they've been accustomed to seeing women on their worst behavior being able to get away with their worst behavior. So now the girls' behavior is just totally, totally crazy. You get what I'm saying? That's who pepper sprays kids. I mean, teachers. That's who's fighting all the time. It's getting weird. I don't know what the heck is going on, but Now we're at that stage. And in that stage, we have a huge problem because now you're seeing the remnants of like the city girl mayors who, I got my education. I was the boss chick, independent. Now you're seeing them, and you're seeing these women in positions of power, and you're realizing we effed up. We definitely effed up investing in these foods. All the way down to the young girls you're seeing now. And the reason why this is important is because even the women are starting to realize, and the schools are starting to realize, these kids are better behaved when their fathers are involved. These kids are smarter when their fathers are involved. So how can we fix it? By involving the fathers. But if we try to involve the fathers, you got to understand, these single mothers are starting to treat the school system like a baby daddy. You get what I'm saying? So, they're using the child as a pawn with the daddy, and the child as a pawn with the school. And now the school don't know what to do. I give you a solution. Maybe y'all should start testifying in these family courts, since y'all were part of the problem. We're getting these kids, with enabling these mothers to have to groom these kids to be bad. You're part of the problem. You be part of the solution. But this is where the lack of investment is. So unless the young black boys, selling tickets and merchandise, as an athlete at these schools, you don't care. But this is how bad the investment has gotten, because she's right. When you go into the workforce, you're in the workforce now. We talk about these young folks who just, y'all don't work, y'all don't want to work. Y'all work for 2 days and call in for 3. It doesn't make sense. But you want all this stuff. It's like, you better slow down on that. Y'all work ethic just sucks. And y'all not as smart as y'all think, because y'all on the phone, and it doesn't make sense to us that y'all smart with social media, but you're not smart with your own mind, and you got a smartphone on you. You can use that phone for the same information that you use it for all that nonsense. So it doesn't make sense. And I laugh because a lot of these young kids to young men and women don't realize, y'all gonna see how the world works, because y'all gonna be the ones dealing with these businesses and realizing these people are dumb. And now you're going into all these occupations and you're like, everybody's stupid. How did that happen? This lack of investment, and it's enabling. But I'm gonna get to the next one. Tell me what you think about it, when it's all over. But here we go.
And my daddy in like a weird place, because he got his side of how he look at it. I got my side of how I look at it. I kind of understand, like, okay, if your child moved to another country, it's kind of hard. From a child point of view, all I can do is go off the emotion that I felt as a child. Like, I can't tell you how I would feel about it as an adult, because the hurt come from when I was a child. I know I felt abandoned. That's how I felt. I felt like I used to see like other kids in the neighborhood, and his daddy used to come visit him all the time. Buy him shit. Mm-hmm. So I used to be kind of jealous of what he had going on. Right. And so that's where a lot of the disappointment came from with my daddy. But my daddy was a good daddy to my siblings over there. All right. Like my little brother who died, my little brother got killed. Right. On my daddy's side. Right. They was best friends. You feel what I'm saying? I got twin little sisters and I got another little brother. They all love my daddy. You see what I'm saying? So I can't just say, bad daddy. Right. With me, I feel like you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
So now that you see that part, this is where we got to talk about the abandonment issues and the lack of investment as far as fathers and sons, and how it's changed over the years. And what I mean is, and I didn't watch the whole interview, so I'm just using this clip. So you might have said some other stuff that might give it more, that might expound more. But I'm using this for a reason. So remember, 21 Savage is actually isn't American. He's like foundational black American. He's not. His mom is from Dominica. I think maybe his dad's from Dominica too, but that's the Caribbean. But they moved to the UK, moved to the US, and stayed here, and then their visa ran out, so they basically have been living like illegal immigrants, basically. So the issue becomes, and using the beginning part, not the beginning part, the Walmart scene with the kid that was freezing and the people had to help him. As 21 was talking about, like he found out his dad was a good dad to his kids. It's just he wasn't a quote unquote good dad to him. And the problem starts here, the way he worded it. Because he said, if your child moved, let me explain something. You didn't move. Your mama took you to a completely different country, actually to a completely different continent. Let's get that straight. And what you're seeing now is, the story of men who say, my father was never in my life. I'm abandoned. I have issues. I don't feel like people cared about me. I don't feel like my dad cared about me. But what they're not saying is they don't have the same story of guys 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s when they say, their father wasn't actually involved at all. You know what I'm saying? Or they found out they don't have like a T.O. story where your daddy's actually right up the street, but you never knew. They don't have those issues. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that. What they have is a delusional sociopathic way of looking at reality, because now you're an adult and you still can't say, wait a minute. My mother took me to America and I'm basically a legal immigrant in America. If somebody would do that, would they keep me from my father in a sense? They took me from my dad? They want to do what they wanted to do. And then that becomes the issue, what you're seeing with some of these young men, is they feel like they weren't invested in, in the sense of, I don't think you care. So let me just go out here and wild out. I'll do whatever I want to do. Can't nobody tell me nothing. But from another point of view, men and fathers are looking at it like, no, basically, you're a sociopath and you're a hard-headed and you're a knucklehead and you think you could do whatever you want and get away with it because your mama's that way and society catered to your mama being that way. You're not understanding. You're a black boy, aka a black male, aka a black young man, aka a black man, aka meaning you're gonna get thrown under the bus and have the book thrown at you and get thrown under the jail if you participate in those type of activities. And these guys have a hard time dealing with that. And me and my lady had this conversation, and I told her, even with my situation personally, I told her, even with my own son, I was like, at this point in life, he looks at discipline as disrespect, especially coming from me, right? So, and she's like, she could see what I was saying. She's like, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. So now, mom made dad to be the enemy. The kid grows up, dad's the enemy. But then kid finds out dad's actually a good guy. But kid acts more like mom. When the kid, the young man, is highly rebellious. You know what I'm saying? And has a lack of honor, integrity, and morality. And then, but the kid never puts two and two together because we live in that same little scenario where, I'm a good person. I really have a good side. You could do some bad things and be a good person. And that sounds like a little hood rat mama who trying to get away with murder. But they don't see that because that's the way they've been raised and cultivated. So the reason I'm talking about this in this way is because you didn't invest in morality also. You didn't invest in right and wrong also. So now these people have a weird moral compass. And what you're seeing more and more in society, where you have these young men and young women at this point who think they could break into your car, but you can't shoot them. You know what I'm saying? Who could put a gun to you and kill you over something, over some property because they just want to go shine around, but they think nothing happened to them. And it's like, oh, okay. You really don't know how this is going to end, do you? So now you see the lack of investment in morality and the lack of investment in integrity and the lack of investment in a good conscience. And unfortunately, I got to say this too. Because of that, we have a generation of kids, and maybe a couple of generations of kids, depending on how you slice it, who y'all really fake. Y'all really fraudulent, bad kids who y'all been used as pawns, and now y'all trying to be a knight or a rook, or a bishop on the chessboard for yourself, and you want to now you learn how your mama manipulates. Now you trying to manipulate too, and now when people go, I ain't even effing with that. You play the I'm a band. It's like I can't. It's too much. It's too many shenanigans going on. So that's a whole nother part of this and this lack of investment, because the irony of it is, because of these things, part of the social awkwardness is, and I'll say society is becoming whiter and whiter in the sense of, I can do whatever I want to you, but I'm above reproach, kind of this kind of mentality. So it gets worse. It gets worse. Something else I want to say, but I'm gonna let the next clip go on because I'm gonna put it to that too. So check out this next clip.
Every nigga I seen with a kid, nigga complained and hated a black woman he had a baby by. So in my 20s, psychologically, nigga, I wanted to be able to have a loving relationship with my son. And nigga, I wasn't fit to have no baby with no black woman because she wouldn't allow you to have a loving, full relationship with your son. Because what I start hearing between my cousins and my female friends is, this my child. You can't take my baby nowhere. So the black woman claims 100% rights and authority over the kids. So that robs a black man of his legacy. I wasn't robbed of my legacy. Most black children don't have their dad's last name. Most black women won't allow the black man to name their child. Most black women wouldn't allow the grandmother of the baby daddy to have access to the grandbaby because what she felt about the baby daddy. So she kept the kid away. So I didn't want that, homie. So I strategically said, nah, I ain't putting my dick over there in that garden. Nigga, every nigga I seen.
So now we got to go in a different direction. So now guys started to, the child becomes the kid who becomes hurt, who becomes the adult who wasn't invested in, and then becomes the father, and or about to become a father, or wanting to become a father, and then going, wait a minute. If I wind up picking somebody, let's just say like my mama, my kid gonna wind up just like I did. Wait a minute. Time out. Is this true for if I got brothers? Is it true for my siblings? Is it true for my other family? Is it true for my friends? Then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So now what you're seeing is, let's just do a triggering thing by saying this. Now what you're seeing is the reason for a passport bros, in a sense, right? Because now guys are like, you know what? I was the kid that I was her baby, and I couldn't, and nobody else's. That was me. What am I supposed to do now? It's like, yeah, what are you supposed to do now? Good question. Are you supposed to take are you supposed to take the same path your father took? Because some of y'all think y'all better than y'all dads. And like I said, the dads have changed. They weren't like deadbeats and alcoholics. Now what I'm gonna say, and it's gonna suck for a lot of you, I would say millennials. I see y'all as parents. I'm a Gen Xer, and my parents would be considered baby boomers. And my parents are part of the crack era. They wasn't on crack, at least One of them, my dad did coke, but not crack. But so I saw how drugs could mess up stuff, right? A lot of y'all, with y'all obsession with weed and all kinds of weed, with y'all in these pills, and some of y'all dabbling in fentanyl, knowingly and unknowingly. You get what I'm saying? And lean, and all that other stuff. Some of y'all don't realize that you're basically baby boomer 2.0s. Y'all basically y'all creating your own crack epidemic with the family on your own because you're saying you have all these issues and stresses, and it's like I ain't gonna front a person like me and Gen X. I don't believe you because my life was harder than yours. So like you remind me of the suburban kids, because don't get it twisted. Us and Gen X, we saw kids who were in the hood and kids who were from the burbs, and we saw that a lot of kids who were from the burbs who had issues. A lot of their issue was, how can I say this? They were spoiled and entitled and scared of a life where they weren't being catered to. And they did all kinds of crazy stuff to mask that. I'm gonna say that's the nicest way I could say it. So now you're seeing people talk, like Charleston White talking, which he's older than me, but just putting it in the frame of, I'm not gonna put myself in this position, because the one thing that I cracked up about that he said, even though all of that was real stuff, the names. See, we make fun of the names, but what we don't say about the names of these kids is, your mama named you. Just because your name is so ridiculous, your mama had to name you. Because normally fathers not in their right mind gonna have a kid named something 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 apostrophe something two other. It's not gonna do that, because it's like what? Because they grown, they smart enough to know that this ain't gonna go. It's not gonna go well. But a lot of y'all don't want to hear that. So when people are trying to circumvent all of these baby mama struggles, now you're seeing people go in a different direction, right? And because these guys don't feel like they've been invested in, now you ladies are starting to act like, yo, well, what's up with these black men? They don't like black women. And it's like, wait, time out. And I will say this, there may be a hint of jealousy, because black boys who've grown to be black men have watched not only black America, not only the black family, but the institutions of America pedestalize black girls to black females to black women, and let them make tons of mistakes and undergird them with tons of help. And and as a mass product, we wind up still being better off than them. So there's a hint of like, man, get out my face. You had all the help in the world. You keep getting all the help in the world, and you keep acting a fool. You know. So I would say there could be a hint of jealousy there, not just for all of the investment. So at the end of the day, it's like, listen, now I don't want to be around you. Not you as in a black woman per se, but you as in, if you fit the stereotype of how I grew up and what I grew up in, I don't want to be around you. And some of y'all, because that y'all actually raised like that, y'all don't understand it because y'all never been on the other side of it. A lot of you ladies, y'all not on the other side of black female effery, as what Obsidian calls it. Y'all ain't on the other side of it until y'all become adults. Because the little high school mean girl stuff, that there was always mean girls in high school, but y'all don't really realize the depths of how bad this can get until you as an adult, you're watching your friends and your girlfriends, and sometimes other family members call you out on your stuff, and you like, I can do whatever I want, and now these dudes are like, I'm checking out. And it goes back to You know, I don't want no parts of what didn't invest in me. I'm gonna find something else, and I'm gonna invest in that like I wasn't invested in. So people better take a good hard look at how a lot of black boys have been treated all the way up to black men. And we can get into this gender war stuff, but what I'm saying is, you know, everybody has a quote unquote different struggle. This is part of ours. And if you overlook it and go, it's not a big deal, these things that even these clips and stuff that I pointed out and I talked about, they're more of our norm than a lot of you other folks' norm. So this is just in my opinion. But I'm done now. Tell me what y'all think, man. I'm glad y'all was rocking with me. I'm gonna close it out with the what you call that? The outro. Peace.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Do this.
Spoken from the lips of the young or the old, bear of me.
Yeah, gotta put it all in.
And they are Superman.
All the way. I guess I'm taking off the cape through the glasses in the trash. Being super is great, saving y'all is such a drag. Even God took a break, me I ain't coming back. I got one life to live, if you don't like it, that's your ass. Cause nobody saved me, plus when I'm drunk, I'm just a peon. I could use somebody just like I'm the kings of neon. This world is cold as ice, mixed with salt, mixed with freon. They got me pissed off, but that's better than being peed on. For eons, human beings took kindness for weakness. When you constipated, you start to appreciate shit. Put before you life and death, and you just gotta choose. The kryptonite life means you still follow the rules. If your credit's messed up or your bills ain't paid, then it's getting disconnected. Can't nobody say the day. And I can fly, leave a building in a single bound, but I can't stand fair weather friends, and I just fly around. My super friends in Justice League, only folk I kick it with. Kill Lex Luthor, so what? We had to finish it. Kids play games and adults play for keeps. And me, I play to win, but I ain't playing in these streets. And life is not a joke, then again it ain't this serious. Superman can say the day, but God can say the Superman. Saga of the kryptonite, life just ended. You enjoy listening? Man, I finished it. Lois, come holler at me. I got an ice couch. Thank you for coming out, listening. I knew you would like it because we made it. I'm so frigid and so fly.